stone grinds against stone, the last sound from the world outside. Dagan races through the painted corridor, his oil lamp throwing wild shadows across the wall. By the time he reaches the entrance, the narrow opening is already disappearing behind a massive block of rock. He screams the names of the workers outside. No one answers. Beyond the stone, ropes tighten. Men strain. The final block settles into place. The chanting continues for a few moments, growing weaker with every breath. Then it stops. Dagan presses both hands against the sealed doorway. Only a few feet of stone separate him from the desert, the Nile, and every living person he has ever known. But the tomb was built to remain closed for eternity, and no one knows he is still inside. No surviving record tells the story of this particular worker. What follows is a dramatized reconstruction based on the tombs, burial customs, and beliefs of Egypt's new kingdom. It is around 1250 BC. Dagan is not a pharaoh, priest, or nobleman. He is a young laborer helping prepare the tomb of a wealthy official. For weeks he has carried lamps, jars, furniture, baskets, and sealed boxes through its painted chambers. By sunset, the funeral will be over. The entrance will be hidden, and Dagan expects to return home before dark. His mother will be waiting near the workers' village. But one small mistake is about to turn a house built for eternity into his prison. The funeral begins before sunrise. Cold desert air surrounds the procession as priests walk beside the coffin. Behind them, family members call the dead man's name and beat their chests in grief. Servants carry bread, beer, dried meat, clothing, furniture, oils, and small carved figures. Everything the official may need in the next life is being placed inside. To the Egyptians, the tomb is more than a grave. It is a second home. Food will sustain the dead man's spirit. Protective charms will guard his body. Painted words will preserve his name long after everyone who knew him is gone. Dagan has worked inside these chambers for weeks. He knows every turn of the corridor, every painted god, every heavy wooden chest. Anubis watches over the dead. Osiris waits beyond the gates of the underworld. Farmers, servants, boats, gardens, and endless feasts cover the wall. They promise an ideal life beyond death. Usually, Dagan barely notices them. Today, the painted eyes seem to follow him. Oil smoke hangs in the narrow halls. The air smells of dust, resin, linen, and stone. Near the burial chamber, priests begin the final ceremonies. Workers are ordered to leave. Dagan lifts his lamp and turns toward the entrance. Then something catches the light near the floor. A small protective amulet has fallen from one of the boxes. If it is discovered missing, the workers may be accused of theft. Dagan looks toward the corridor. The others are already leaving. He tells himself it will take only a moment. Lamp in hand, he steps into a dark side chamber. No one sees him disappear. The chamber is smaller than he remembers. Wooden boxes stand against the walls. Clay jars fill the corners. The amulet lies beneath a low table. Dagan kneels and reaches for it. A cracking sound comes from above. Before he can move, part of the unfinished ceiling breaks loose. Stone crashes beside him. Dust explodes through the room. The lamp rolls across the floor. Dagan falls hard and strikes his head. For a time, there is nothing. No sound, no light, no memory. When his eyes open, the lamp is still burning. Its flame is weak but alive. Pain pulses behind his temple. Blood runs down the side of his face. He pulls himself upright and listens. The funeral chants are gone. Workers are gone. The tomb has become completely silent. Dagan takes the amulet and stumbles back into the corridor. At first, he assumes the others are waiting outside. Then he reaches the entrance. A wall of stone fills the passage. The amulet slips from his hand. Dagan shouts. His voice crashes through the painted halls and returns as an echo. He pounds the stone with both fists. Once, twice, again. Outside, workers may still be covering the entrance with rubble. If they hear him now, there is still hope. He calls every name he can remember. His supervisor, the priests, the men who carried the ropes. Nothing answers. Dagan presses his ear against the stone. For a moment he thinks he hears movement, then only silence. He searches for a crack around the block. There is none. The entrance was designed to keep tomb robbers out. Now it is keeping a living man inside. He braces one shoulder against the stone and pushes until pain shoots through his body. The block does not move. A wooden chest is dragged across the floor and broken apart. Dagan wedges one piece against the doorway. The wood splinters. The stone remains. Only then does the truth become impossible to deny. Everyone believes the tomb contains no living person. The funeral is finished. The family is returning to the river. The priests are going home, and soon desert wind will erase every footprint outside. The lamp becomes Dagan's entire world. As long as the flame survives, the tomb still feels connected to life. He forces himself to think carefully. Panic will waste strength. There may be another way out. Workers sometimes leave shafts unfinished. A storage chamber may connect to the rock above. Weak stones may hide behind painted plaster. Dagan searches every room. He taps the walls, moves baskets, looks behind chests and statues. Every path ends in solid rock. Each shout for help returns as another voice. At first, the echo makes him turn. For one hopeful second, it sounds like someone else is trapped nearby. Then he understands the tomb is only repeating him. Inside the burial chambers, food and drink are everywhere. Bread, fruit, beer, water, dried meat. They were placed here for the dead man's spirit. Taking them is forbidden. Once sealed, the offerings belong to the dead. Dagan knows the stories. A thief who steals from a tomb may lose his place in the next life. But his mouth is dry. His hands are trembling. He breaks the seal on a water jar. The sound seems enormous. Before drinking, he whispers an apology. Then he drinks until the pain in his throat begins to fade. Only afterward does he look toward the coffin. A dead man lies a few rooms away, wrapped in linen and guarded by magic. Dagan is alive. Yet the dead man has food, water, protection, and a name written on every wall. Dagan has none of them. Time becomes difficult to measure. There is no sunrise below the desert, no evening, no stars, only the flame. Dagan works while the lamp still burns. Broken wood becomes a tool. He scrapes at mortar, strikes the walls, digs at cracks in the floor. Dust fills his lungs. Skin tears from his fingers. Blood darkens the stone. Nothing opens. To save oil, he lowers the flame. The chambers shrink around him. Painted gods appear and disappear at the edge of the light. At last, the lamp begins to flicker. Dagan pours in the final drops of oil. The flame rises once. For a moment, hope returns. Then it shrinks again. He cups both hands around it, as though a human body could protect fire from death. The flame trembles, bends, and disappears. Darkness fills the tomb. Not the darkness of a moonless night. This is absolute darkness. Dagan cannot see his hands. He cannot see the walls. He cannot see the ground beneath his feet. Every step becomes uncertain. Every sound becomes alive. Dry linen sounds like breathing. A falling grain of sand becomes a footstep. His heartbeat seems to come from inside the coffin. Reason tells him the dead man cannot move, but reason is weaker in the dark. Since childhood, Dagan has heard stories about the journey after death. The spirit must enter the duat. It must pass guarded gates. It must face dangerous beings. At the final judgment, the heart is weighed against the feather of truth. A heart heavy with wrongdoing is destroyed. Those stories once belonged to priests, funerals, and distant gods. Now Dagan sits beside a coffin beneath the earth. He has broken sacred seals. He has taken food and water meant for the dead. A new thought enters his mind. Perhaps the tomb was not sealed by accident. Perhaps the gods wanted him here. Maybe the falling stone killed him. Maybe this darkness is already the duat, and he simply has not understood. Dagan presses a hand against his chest. His heart is still beating, but in complete darkness, even that feels uncertain. He speaks to Anubis. He asks for guidance. He speaks to Osiris. He promises he never meant to steal. Then his thoughts turn to home, his mother waiting near the village. A bowl of food growing cold, the doorway she will watch long after sunset. Dagan tells her he is sorry, though she is far beyond the stone. A soft scraping sound interrupts him. He rises too quickly and nearly falls. Something moves beyond the wall. Hope rushes back. Tomb robbers, workers returning, anyone. Dagan moves toward the sound and presses his ear against the stone. The scraping continues. Then something small runs across his foot. A rat disappears into the darkness. The hope vanishes. The water does not last forever. At first, Dagan drinks carefully. Later, thirst makes every decision for him. His lips split, his tongue swells. Walking from one chamber to another feels like crossing the desert at midday. Strength leaves his arms. His thoughts become slow and disconnected. Still, one idea refuses to die. The entrance. Dagan returns to the sealed doorway one final time. Both hands rest against the cold stone. On the other side lies the living world, children running between houses, workers sharing bread after a long day, boats moving along the Nile, his family asking why he never returned. Perhaps someone has noticed. Perhaps the other workers now remember that Dagan was never seen leaving the tomb. But the entrance is hidden beneath stone and rubble. Even if they return, opening it may take hours, maybe days. Dagan lifts a broken piece of wood. He strikes the doorway. The sound is weak. Another blow follows, then another. Each one comes more slowly than the last. At last, the wood falls from his hand. He sits beside the entrance and places his fingers against the stone. Only a few feet separate him from the sun, but the distance might as well be an ocean. In his final hours, Dagan no longer fears the dead man. He crawls into the burial chamber and sits beside the coffin. The painted walls promise green fields, cool water, gardens, music, and sunlight without end. Dagan cannot see them now, but he remembers every image. The river, the boats, the reeds moving in the wind. He imagines standing beside the Nile. Warm sunlight touches his face. His mother calls his name from the doorway. For a moment, the darkness feels less complete. Thousands of years may pass before anyone enters this tomb again. When the doorway finally opens, explorers may find the wealthy official inside his decorated coffin. They may find his furniture, his sacred charms, his sealed jars, his painted name preserved across the walls. And near the entrance, they may find Dagan. No coffin, no ceremony, no protective spell, no name written in stone. Only a young worker who entered a house built for eternity and never came out. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment below and tell me what you'd like to see next. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more videos like this.